begin with attendance. Convoy.
Here.
Kubler. Here. Rana. Here. Nicolu.
Here.
Lechicon.
Present.
Cabal. Here. Bird. Here. Porcello.
Here.
Conrad. Valverde.
Here.
Johnny.
Here.
Rip. He's here. Zabrowski. Mukwa. Harry. Stern.
Here.
Galmi. Ayanyima. Azimi. He's sick through. Nahar. Villar.
Here.
Durir.
Here.
Ali.
Here.
Barbara. Burr.
Here.
Carr. Caruso.
Here.
Chow.
Here.
Donato.
Here.
Goebel.
Here.
Karras. Kennedy.
Here.
Kundu. Langer.
Here.
Lanza.
Here.
Lavoy.
Here.
Lemoyne.
Here.
Michael. Murray.
Here.
Norris.
Here.
OJ. She's Puglisi.
Here.
Sadiqui. Serwitz.
Here.
Wayne.
Here.
Would anyone like to be recognized for public comment? Yeah, I assumed that you would. Seeing none, we will now move into the approval of the minutes from April 13th. Can we let everyone take a gander? Has everyone gandered enough? All right, is there a motion for these minutes? Yes, Cognato. Is there a second? Burr. Are there any questions regarding the minutes from April 20th? 20th or 13th?
20th.
That's the special Senate. We're only doing the regular Senate. I think great. April 30th is present. Just put in April 30th, 13th. Are there questions regarding these minutes? Yes?
Which minutes are we going
The April 13th ones. Yeah, there's a motion by Cognato and there's a second by Burr. These are the 20th ones, and I'm not really. No, the 13th, we didn't approve minutes in this one. There we go.
We did the 13th one.
No. Unless you guys did you? Did you approve the 13th on the 12th? No. Okay, so 13th. Still. We still have the motion by Cognato and the second by Burr. Are there any questions? Any debate? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of approving the minutes from April 13th, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? One abstention. And approved. Yes, Senator Cognato?
Not that I have a problem with this, but I've listed twice.
It's okay, you're just there twice the amount as everyone else.
I agree.
Alright, we'll now move into new business. Would anyone like to, well, we're not going to approve this, but is there a motion for this to come to the floor? Alright, motion fails. So we're done with new business. We'll move into the USG commendations. If there's any questions about that, we're not approving the budget for the fall because a lot of people thought we didn't have the power to because most of us are on our way out. So during first Senate,
Big lie.
for the first Senate, after we're done with this session, the new Senate body that'll be taking over will vote on the budget for the fall semester. Are there any questions with that?
Good luck.
Who's going to watch it?
All right, commendations. Deputy Speaker, Parliamentarian, take it away. Oh, sorry. Chief Electric.
That's 7% of your battery.
7%.
Hi everyone.
Bye.
So those who are graduating is to write something what's called a commendation. And those are actual real pieces of legislation that we're going to all vote on at the end of when we read all of them. And they're going to be like actual pieces of signed legislation. So the first person that's going to be reading,
Announce the people that are reading.
Yeah. So we can figure it out.
Okay, so first I would like to call up George Way to read Tyler Lemoyne's commendation. I just said that.
Wow.
Oh, my bad.
So for the next one, they say.
Got it.
So it's like a surprise.
The nuances of Senate, right?
My bad.
Whereas no one dips it low like Tyler. Whereas we can always count on Tyler to bust out and twerk/work. Whereas Tyler's beard simply became more and more lustrous as the year went by. Whereas Tyler was a social chameleon, and we could just as easily imagine him at a formal Senate meeting or.
Sorry, I'm just joking.
I'm sorry. Whereas Tyler has no mercy for Tier 2 groups. Whereas liberal in every other aspect of his life, but if a CFO misses up, Tyler has no mercy. Whereas Tyler is a member of 2 Tier 2 organizations. Whereas people who came from public comment tremble in their boots when Tyler approaches the mic.
I was good last month.
Whereas we should really have a subcategory under public comment entitled Questions from Tyler. Whereas somehow Tyler wasn't the most aggressive and outspoken cultural center representative. And we're still not sure how that's possible. Whereas he is the best drag king USG has ever had. Whereas Tyler is super nice and a great member of the USG team. Therefore, be it resolved that the undergraduate student government recognizes him and the many other unsung contributions that Tyler Lemoyne has made to this organization. Be it finally resolved that the undergraduate student government is deeply grateful for Tyler's commitment and dedication during his tenure in the graduate student government, and wishes him the best of luck in the future.
Okay, so next, I'd like to call Erica Sturgis.
We know who it is.
It's not there, that's who it is.
Oh, my bad. I just covered it up on the screen and I realized. My mistake. Last person. You can't see it. It's fine. That was-
A commendation concerning the undergraduate tenure of Alexandria Garcia. Whereas Alex is the most Yukon apparel swagged out person in the SOC office. Whereas Alex gave up her first semester of nickel to work in the SOC. And that's dedication. Whereas Alex can always be counted on to bring the most delicious homemade meals during each SOC shift. Whereas Alex is always the life of the party, whether in the SOC or on the Husky dance floor. Whereas Alex rarely attended USG gatherings, mostly because she was too cool for us anyway. Whereas Alex was one of the few people that you really hoped would be your friend outside of USG, but you knew she was too good for you. Whereas Alex should have never skipped the spring banquet to watch the softball team lose their game. Whereas Alex will be a great addition to Missouri's minuscule population next year as she continues her education in athletic training. Whereas despite her busy athletic training schedule, Alex always shows up to her shifts with a positive attitude and an exceptional work ethic for her job at the SOC. Therefore, be it resolved that the undergraduate student government recognizes her and many of the other unsung contributions that Alexandria Garcia has made to the organization. Be it finally resolved that the undergraduate student government is deeply grateful for Alexandria's commitment and dedication during her tenure in the undergraduate student government and wishes her the best of luck in her.
You'll get your last paycheck at 6
Okay. A commendation concerning the undergraduate tenure of Darren Thorne. Whereas most of Darren's t-shirt colors can be found in the catalog Highlighters Monthly.
Whereas Darren is guaranteed to make a new friend during each shift.
Whereas the FDA is currently researching the benefits of Darren's Welcome to the Office smile as a highly effective antidepressant.
Whereas there's no way Darren can constantly be listening to music in the office and not have heard every song ever written.
Whereas Darren is the only adult male any of us have ever met who can be described as having a bubbly personality.
Whereas Darren always engaged USG members in delightful conversations about his past, which were both enlightening and unsettling.
Whereas Darren would always chat up anyone who came into the office, whether or not they have time.
Whereas Darren couldn't stay away from USG too long and decided he must come back for more funding fun for the spring 2016 semester.
Whereas Darren's return to the USG office has truly saved the butts of the USG bookkeeping office, and we are eternally grateful.
Whereas Darren realized from his job at USG that working with humans is far too difficult and a career with animals is the way to go.
Whereas Darren has inspired us all with his determination and hard work in returning to college to complete his bachelor's degree.
Whereas Darren is the jolliest colleague ever found at a workplace.
Therefore, be it resolved that the undergraduate student government recognizes him and the many other unsung contributions that Darren Thorne has made to the organizations.
Be it finally resolved that the undergraduate student government is deeply grateful for Darren's commitment and dedication during his tenure in USG and wishes him the best of luck in the future.
A commendation concerning the undergraduate tenure of Alexander Hughes. Whereas Allie began her USG career as the Hilltop Apartment Senator. Whereas Allie won her Senate seat with a whopping 10 votes.
Whereas Allie has a combination of intelligence, strong work ethic, and basic confidence, which is why USG obviously was not the place for her.
Whereas Allie would prefer armed combat to sitting through one more USG meeting.
Whereas Allie seems to be happier and free since quitting USG. Lucky her.
Whereas Allie possesses advanced training on how to kill people, and she had to leave USG because of how frequently people made her want to use that training.
Whereas it turns out that even a trained member of the military cannot deal with working for Rachel for an entire
Whereas Chief Hughes' dedication and commitment to USG throughout the entire 2015 and 2016 term will not be forgotten.
Awesome joke, guys.
Whereas Allie's final and most important goal
contributions that Alexander Hughes has made to the organization's IMET. Be it further resolved that the undergraduate student government is deeply grateful for Alexandra's commitment and dedication to the undergraduate student government and wishes her the best of luck in her future.
Next, I'd like to call up Alex. That's you. Glad to see you're not on the softball game. So, a conversation concerning the undergraduate tenure of Erica Sturgis. Whereas Erica was always the nicest person in the office.
Whereas it's by far the nicest and hardest working member of USG.
Whereas Erica has the friendliest smile of any USG staff worker.
Whereas Erica is one of the few people in USG that you are genuinely happy to run into at a party.
Whereas Erica was one of the few people in this organization that you'd actually enjoy talking to on a regular basis.
Whereas Erica probably did most of the work in USG, all of which we happily took credit for.
Whereas Erica could be seen eating a salad for lunch every single day, no matter what.
Whereas Erica Sturgis and Erica Electricon never knew whose name Darren was yelling in the office.
Whereas whenever Erica said she needed to write a paper or study for a test, those deadlines didn't actually come up until 2 weeks from now.
Whereas Erica judged the character of a man by the length of his cargo pants.
Whereas Erica always hosts parties but would forget to invite Rachel.
Whereas Erica kindly crushed the hearts and dreams of student organizations by politely telling them that their funding is incorrect.
Whereas Erica was the most low-key, savage person you've ever met.
Whereas Erica is the best roommate and best friend I could have ever asked to find at UConn.
Therefore, be it resolved that the undergraduate student government recognizes her and the many other unsung contributions that Erica Sturgis has made to the organization.
Be it finally resolved that the undergraduate student government is deeply grateful for Erica's commitment and dedication during her tenure in the undergraduate student government and wishes her the best of luck in her future.
So next I'd like to call up Daniel Bird and Andrew Stern.
A commendation concerning the undergraduate tenure of Timothy Lynn. Sunglasses, Tim. Put on your sunglasses. All right. Whereas Tim Lim is low-key Chubby's ambassador of UConn. Whereas a compliment for Tim Lim is always payback with prove it. Whereas Tim Lim throws more shade than Kim Kardashian. Whereas Tim Lim is the type of guy who will one day breed rare dogs and make sure you know it. Whereas I never want to hear another person say yas. Whereas Lim's swag has evolved into Timothy Jeffrey 01. Whereas Tim Lim undeniably changed the lexicon of USG and introduced terms such as shade, on fleek, and weave snatching into our typical discourse. Whereas, did you ever hear that Tim Lim worked in Singapore? Whereas Tim Lim the super prestigious role of president of the UConn West Hartford Student Government, which is definitely a big deal. Whereas Tim Lim always took the opportunity to remind you how illegal his reign over West Hartford campus. Whereas Tim Lim has no stated position on any controversial issue that has ever come up in USG. A small family-owned hair gel company was able to send their 3 children to college thanks to Tim Lim. Thanks to Tim Lim's low patronage. Whereas you may have noticed there are no mirrors in the USG office. This was for fear that Tim Lim would become too frequently aroused. Also member of the 2014-2015 Executive Committee and contributed significantly through a series of loud, well-timed gasps, pursed lips, and eye rolling. Whereas while the commendation has been savage, Tim Lim should still know that we love him dearly. Therefore, be resolved that the undergraduate student government recognizes him and the many other unsung contributions that Timothy Jeffrey Barton Lim has made to the students. Be it finally resolved that the undergraduate student government is deeply grateful for Timothy Lim's commitment and dedication during his tenure in the undergraduate student government and wishes him the best of luck in his future.
I just want to say that you guys are my family, and it's been a really rough year, past year, and I do have to say that I get that energy from you guys. It's been, I guess, a huge honor working with everyone in this room, and I do hope that you guys will continue the great work of yours.
Next, I'd like to call up Stephen and Sydney. Okay. A commendation concerning the undergraduate tenure of Bennett. Whereas Bennett's Facebook posts take up 75% of my news feed. I wrote that one.
Whereas Bennett's trash can is still in Tim Lim's room. Whereas Bennett will always be the best at 2K, despite what his finances tell you. I debate that. I did not write that one.
Whereas Bennett always spoke quietly in the office and never debated.
Whereas Bennett firmly believes that the legislative branch is the only branch of USG that matters.
Whereas Bennett firmly believes in the power of statements of position, which we all know totally work and make a big difference.
Whereas Bennett has some weird friendship with Dan, where the more they debate in Senate, the stronger their bond.
Whereas, has anyone ever told Bennett there's more to life than Senate?
Whereas Bennett has close personal friendships with many people on the daily campus, but that in no way has tarnished their stalwart commitment to accurate and unbiased reporting. discussion about whether or not these commendations fail to recognize someone's agency or whatever else Bennett's on about this week.
Whereas the undergraduate student government was the best thing that ever happened to Bennett's love life.
I'm taking a little bit of pride in this last one. Whereas we are hopeful that this commendation will help to fill the enormous void in Bennett's life once Bernie loses the party.
Therefore, be it resolved that the undergraduate student government recognizes him and the many other unsung contributions that Bennett Pignatto has made to the organization.
Finally, resolved that the undergraduate student government is deeply grateful for Bennett's commitment and dedication during his tenure in the undergraduate student government and wishes him the best of luck in the future.
Next, I'd like to call up Michael Lanza and Andrew Stern.
Commendation concerning the undergraduate tenure of Catherine Blue.
Whereas Katie was 1/3 of the most legendary girls night of all time, including FaceTime calls and changes.
Whereas Katie's obsession with hedgehogs and orgies is borderline scary.
That's what happened. Off record,
Katie, like the true conservative she is, dresses like she's in the 1950s.
Whereas Katie is still holding out hope that the GOP nomination will swing to Kevin.
Jeb.
We are all Katie Boone's favorites, as she will inform each of us one after another.
Whereas, wait, is that a Marco Rubio poster? And Ronald Reagan, a horse?
Yeah.
Katie possesses a large, mildly erotic picture of Ronald Reagan hanging just over her bed.
Whereas if you ever want the whole organization to find out about something, tell Katie.
Katie's time as Chief Justice proved once and for all that the judiciary's sole purpose is to decide contested elections.
Whereas if Katie cashes in her bottle collection with her recycling center, she'd probably make enough money to pull USG out of its deficit.
Just absolute quotes. Katie can hold her liquor about as well as an infant can hold up their own head.
Whereas Katie occasionally wrote for the campus annual, and because of that, we never had to read it to know it was probably some backward ass bullshit.
Katie's apartment has at various times served as a casual drinking lounge, a synchronized dance club, and a high school basketball.
Whereas Katie works in East Dining Hall, between that and USG is pretty much constantly surrounded by self-aggravating degenerates.
We're still not really sure what was going on with that Katie, Tim, Dan, and Eliza friend.
Whereas Katie is quite literally USG's hostess with the mostest.
Therefore, be it resolved that the undergraduate student government recognizes her and the many other unsung contributions that Catherine Dillon has made to the organization.
Be it finally resolved that you guys keep forgetting there's two. Be it finally resolved that the undergraduate student government is deeply grateful for Catherine's commitment and dedication during her tenure in the undergraduate student government and wish her the best of luck in it.
best thing I ever did in my life was respond to her message in the Political Science Facebook group and join USG. I don't know what I would have done if I never was part of the organization. Some of you guys have become my best friends. I hang out with you, I study with you, and I call you, FaceTime you, whatever. So good luck in the future. I'm really going to miss you guys. I'll be living in Hartford, so hopefully my apartment will continue to be the USG hotspot. Yeah, good luck in all this.
A commendation concerning the undergraduate tenure of Kevin Alvarez. Whereas Kevin always made my day better when I heard him say, "My lady, you look so lovely."
Whereas Kevin probably greets old ladies with a firm handshake and hello, sir.
Whereas Kevin has the best facial hair around.
Whereas Kevin has the best face and voice for radio.
Whereas Connor McEnroe will always be Kevin's USG little.
Whereas Kevin can do anything because he was speaker.
I can do it because I'm speaker.
Whereas Kevin's favorite administrator is Michael Kirk.
Something we have in common. Whereas the biggest threat to Kevin's power was Kevin himself.
Whereas despite not being a member of his senior year, Kevin routinely utilizes USG perks anyway.
Whereas Kevin exclusively drinks water from the USG office because he's trying to avoid us all.
Whereas, thank God, Kevin didn't stay in all 4 years, am I right?
Whereas graduating is the only way Kevin Alvarez will move out of underclassmen housing.
Whereas you shave that beard in Kevin Alvarez... I'm sorry, it's really small font. Whereas you shave that beard in Alvarez acts and looks like he wants to make America great again.
Oh, God.
Whereas Kevin speaks like a Victorian-era town politician and composes himself like a Victorian-era town drunkard.
Whereas Trustee Alvarez... Oh, wait.
Whereas Kevin's deputy chief of staff... Kevin's deputy chief of staff to the speaker... Oh, wait.
Whereas Kevin Alvarez shows up to public comment with a packet of printed legislation in a full suit just to remind us how much he's over this bullshit.
Whereas despite some controversial events, Kevin Alvarez will always go down in USG history as one of the greatest speakers of the Senate.
That was another sarcastic one. Therefore, be it resolved that the undergraduate student government recognizes him and the many other unsung contributions that Kevin Alvarez has made to the organization.
We have finally resolved that USG is deeply grateful for Kevin's commitment and dedication during his tenure in USG and wishes him the best of luck.
Because they were afraid I would take too long. Little did they know that this will hinder me, absolutely not at all. Just to all of you, I already gave a speech last year when I was leaving the speakership. I can't look at this side of the room, though. I'm sure you're all lovely. But I got to give my last speech last year when I left the speakership. And And I didn't leave it because of any reason that USG was bad or that it wasn't what I wanted to do anymore, but that it was sometimes time to move on. And many of you are entering this organization for the first time, and you get to experience it for the first time like all of us did. And I know it's nerve-wracking, and I know you're confused about all the weird nonsense that's going on, but I guarantee if you invest in this organization, you will get a tremendous amount out of it. And you are extremely lucky because you have an actually very, very competent, despite our butting heads, you have a very competent president and an excellent vice president, and you have a trustee that will finally do us some good after a year. Basically, but all right. Thank you all. For those of you who know me, I'm very glad that there were not enough people that knew me my freshman year to write any commendations about that. My goodness. But you are all going to do tremendously, work hard. This organization matters and you can do great things with it. So thank you all from the bottom of my heart.
Now I'd like to call us Dan and Ben.
A commendation concerning the undergraduate tenure of Tyler Riff. Whereas, hello, my beautiful children.
Whereas Tyler is the cutest little meerkat of them.
He's over here. Whereas Tyler calling everyone his little possums was the best moment of Senate.
Whereas Tyler is the best mentor in LGL.
I genuinely thought Tyler was a 40-year-old for most of this year.
Whereas Tyler is the best union employee and never ever called out of work.
Whereas Tyler practices the healthiest habits of anyone in USG.
Whereas Tyler has smoked more cigarettes than he has strands of hair left.
Whereas in 20 years, Tyler will be using an electrolarynx to talk.
Whereas Tyler will take every opportunity to remind people that he is incredibly handsome, including a debate on medical marijuana.
Whereas Tyler is always a softie, even when he doesn't want to be.
Whereas Tyler has not given a single solitary since the last 20 minutes of the last semester.
Whereas Tyler Rick wears a suit like a 1950s misogynist and smokes like one too.
Whereas Tyler knows the judiciary isn't a complete joke.
Whereas Tyler was elected Chief Justice in a three-way race with a four-member judiciary. And that's definitely not a problem anyone should address.
Whereas Chief Justice Riff presided over the largest judiciary ever, proving once and for all that bigger is not always better. They were definitely aware of what the Constitution says.
Whereas Tyler is probably the reason Adam Galmi doesn't have a commendation.
Whereas being well-spoken and being a hard worker are clearly two very distinct qualities, and because of this, Tyler, you'll do just fine in law school.
Therefore, be it resolved that the undergraduate student government recognizes him and the many other unsung contributions that Tyler Riff has made to the organization.
Be it finally resolved that USG is deeply grateful for Tyler's commitment and dedication during his tenure in the undergraduate student government, and wishes him the best of luck in his future.
A commendation concerning the undergraduate tenure of Colin. Whereas Colin will always tell you how messed up our environment truly is.
Whereas Colin has made speakering into a verb.
Whereas Colin spilled gasoline on a new leather jacket and still wore it.
Whereas an ultimate frisbee accident forced Colin to explicitly inform everyone what he thought of them.
Oh, it's off now. It was on my middle finger.
Whereas Colin just wants everyone to get along.
Whereas Colin should always be remembered as a blazing moderate.
Whereas Colin's tenure as speaker was filled with controversies, including his attempt to make senators sit in a circle for Senate.
I tried my hardest.
Whereas Colin recognized that the conference room was a place of business and professionalism and never anything else.
Whereas Colin worked tirelessly as chair of the Bylaws Review Committee, and USG recognized this effort by immediately ignoring them as soon as they were passed.
Whereas Colin was always present and accounted for at every exec and Senate meeting.
Whereas Speaker Ing had a deep understanding of Robert's rules and always followed them with poise and confidence.
Whereas Colin continued the rich USG tradition of having people try to remove him from the speakership when they didn't get their way. Whereas if someone is puking, crying, hooking up, or fighting when Colin invites USG over, it's not really a party.
Whereas Colin works really hard as a speaker and definitely doesn't make George do everything, which is why he refused to accept George's resignation from USG this semester.
Whereas other than Partha, Colin is the only other senior who has stayed in USG all 4 years.
That's not true. That is false.
That's false.
2, Erica.
Erica.
Strike that one.
Or reprint it!
Reprint.
Retraction!
I was in the city school. I heard it quick.
Whereas
Friendly.
you have a nicer voice.
Whereas Colin was a great teacher, mentor, and friend to all of Senate.
Therefore, be it resolved, the undergraduate student government recognizes him and the many other unsung contributions that Colin has made to this organization. Be it finally resolved that the undergraduate student government is deeply grateful for Colin's commitment and dedication during his tenure in the undergraduate student government and wishes him the best of luck in his future.
Next, I'd like to call up Ben and Rishta.
How many are left? Just 2.
Hold on.
What?
It is.
I'm just kidding, guys, I know.
Yeah, I'm sitting here.
Appropriate office behavior.
Commendations concerning the undergraduate tenure of Partha. Whereas Stephen Purcell was out for the longest time, but Partha's first name was Partha.
Whereas Partha has never and will never comply.
Whereas Partha budgeting strategy was guessing.
Whereas Vengopal will forever be Partha's little spoon. Don't worry about it.
Whereas Partha's loud talking could be heard from either end of the union, so you always would know when he's approaching.
Yes.
Whereas Partha said to institute his own swear jar in the office, the proceeds of which have supplied a small village in India food for the last 3 years.
Whereas either everyone in the office has a crush on Partha, or Partha has a crush on everyone in the office. It would pride the latter
the two.
Whereas Partha was always completely clear about what he was saying and never contradicted himself during his long explanations.
Whereas if Partha doesn't come to the office to announce he's going to the gym, the gains don't count.
Whereas Partha works at the gym, notice I said works and not works out.
Whereas thanks to Partha, Husky Bunga rose to the top as the #1 Indian dancer.
Whereas Partha was known for his gentle and understanding demeanor, which earned him widespread praise from the student groups that he dealt with.
Whereas having served in the undergraduate student government for 4 years, Partha will readily admit that he still lacks the basic understanding of how government works.
Whereas other than Colin and Erica, Partha is the only other senior who stayed in USG all 4 years.
Whereas Comptroller Rana leaves huge shoes to fill.
Whereas, would this commendation really be complete if we didn't mention that Sunny would have made a better comptroller?
Therefore, be it resolved that the undergraduate student government recognizes him and the many other unsung contributions that Partha Rana has made to the organization.
Be it finally resolved that the undergraduate student government is deeply grateful for Partha's commitment and dedication during his tenure in the undergraduate student government and wishes him the best of luck in his future. That's like a 78% roll at best. I expect better next year.
A commendation concerning the undergraduate tenure of Rachel Convoy. Whereas Rachel's diet consists of only tuna salad, cheese, Starbucks, and beer.
Oh, whereas Rachel was a great roommate and always closed the door when she used the bathroom. Great conversation.
Whereas USG should be really grateful that I always had lactate pills on hand for Rachel.
Whereas Rachel single-handedly turned half of the organization into rec center employees.
Whereas Rachel made history as the first openly gay president of USG, and you totally can't tell just by looking at her.
Whereas, Rachel, please tell us more about your niece. We haven't heard enough about her.
Whereas Rachel, oh God. Yeah, this is true, but whereas Rachel stopped comparing your sexuality to a nut allergy.
Whereas Rachel lived out a small-scale version of Hillary Clinton's dream of becoming president without any opposition.
Whereas, due to Rachel's calm, laid-back style, Adam has lost several years off his life due to stress.
Whereas maybe one day Rachel can actually teach Adam how to drink a beer.
Rachel physically mirrored many presidents. The dashing good looks of JFK, the physique of Gerald Ford, and the little finger of Mark Sargent.
Wasn't our first lesson in left year?
Yes. Oh my God. Horrible.
Whereas when it comes to comforting people, Rachel has about as soft a touch as a student union toilet paper.
Whereas Rachel's response to any criticism about USG was how much they were getting done this year, though she was never really fully interested in answering just what those things are.
Whereas Rachel is the only member of USG without good sense to cut ties with Kevin Alvarez.
Whereas we can't quite put our little finger on it, but there's definitely something gayer about USG.
Whereas everyone in USG knows that if Rachel says she's just talking like adults with her ex, they'll be dating again within 3 weeks.
So personal.
Whereas Rachel started practicing disposing of waste for her new job at Waste Management when she picked last year's executive committee.
They're all right there. All of them are right there.
Whereas Rachel will go down as one of the most prolific leaders that empower the student body in USG to take action.
Whereas the undergraduate student government was extremely lucky to have Rachel as its president this past year.
Therefore, be it resolved that the undergraduate student government recognizes her and the many other unsung contributions Rachel Conway has made to the organization.
Be it finally resolved that the undergraduate student government is deeply grateful for Rachel's commitment and dedication during her tenure in the undergraduate student government and wishes her the best of luck.
I reminded Erica multiple times to take a final count of all the commendations and the ones she forgot to pray with.
It's okay.
Yeah, I think so. Alright, we are now... Oh yeah, we do have to vote on that. Is there a motion for all these commendations? Bird, second by Lavoy.
Oh, I heard Mike.
It's too late. We can maybe just watch it.
Yeah. Alright, are there any questions regarding these commendations? Is there any debate? All those in favor of approving all these accommodations that we just went through, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
You can't vote. All those opposed? Any abstentions? Yeah, I'll abstain from last time.
Lazy moderate.
Lazy moderate. And approved. We are now done with new business, and we'll move on to reports. We'll start with the report of the President, President Convoy.
So I don't have much of a report today. So This is my last report ever. I'll miss Bennett a little bit. No, it's been a great experience, and I really do think when I say that I got everything I possibly could out of UConn, 90% of that came from USG. My first USG meeting, this really arrogant guy came up and started talking about student groups and what he thought, about all of them, and funny, why everyone was just, they're immoral with everything. And I thought, wow, this guy's a dick. So I went up and debated him, and now I'm living with him next year. So clearly she's messed with my judgment a little bit, but really, it's been a great year, and one of the best decisions I made was probably choosing to run with Adam Kugler. For all the new senators too, if you're unaware, I am gay, so this is good. I really always like positive reinforcement, and the thing about Adam,
Never knew she thought this much.
President Convoy. Now move into the report from the Vice President.
You can imagine my surprise that Rachel's gay. I thought I was getting a little more when I got on the ticket. I'm not graduating, but I am leaving USG. This is my last Senate in USG, and it certainly is nice to look back on the past 3 years and what USG has meant to me. When I look at this year specifically, having the chance to be vice president and see all the great members of this organization and all the devotion that you all have working on membership issues and things like that has just been phenomenal. I could stand here all night talking about all the different people that have just really made an impact on me. But I'll list a few. One of them is Sam Surwitz, and I know I mentioned this when I worked on the veterans thing, but when I was planning orientation, and a new senator reached out to me and said he had to leave early because he was taking pictures with his fiance, and he's a veteran who's served overseas, and I just thought this guy is not going to want to stay in USG once he gets involved. He's not going to want to stay involved with people that are, for the most part, a lot younger than him and do all these things. But Sam has just been a devoted member, and it's just all the things that Sam has done in his life to come back here and be a devoted member here. I can't say enough about that. Next person I'll just mention is Erica. I know I talked about her at banquet, but
Don't do this.
I could tell a lot of stories about Erica and I, and where we've been together and what we've done, and the struggles and the good times and the bad times. But what I'll just say is that occasionally I'll mention how Erica makes it so I don't have to go to a meeting looking like an idiot, so I'm dressed like an idiot. And just a quick story that is pretty insignificant, not even really part of her job, which is what Erica means to me is I was walking out of the office with this blazer on that doesn't really fit me right, and Erica came up to me and said, "That blazer doesn't fit you right," and I said, "Should I not wear it?" She said, "I'd prefer if you didn't." Which sounds funny, but the truth is that, having somebody who would say, "I prefer that you didn't," somebody who, actually cares about me a lot and that I care about her has just made this journey all the better. And then last but not least, just Rachel. I'm not really a crier, so I'll try not to. But you know, I don't think I could probably get you guys to understand how much Rachel means to me, because I don't think I fully understand how much Rachel means to me. She's just been one of the best souls that I've met at UConn. Just, you know, one of the best people I've met. To be able to stay friends with somebody through this whole thing, it's just all the stress and everything else has just been phenomenal. And you know, I'll be in West Hartford a lot next year. Sorry, Kevin. For you too, but for Rachel as well. So the last thing that I just want to leave you with is that Rachel and I traveled to Stanford earlier this semester to attend a speaker who was talking about human rights and his work in the UN, and he talked about how, you know, he goes through all these things, writes these documents, and countries don't adopt them, whatever. It's so hard to see what he's doing if it's actually making a difference. And somebody asked him that, how do you tell you're making a difference? And he said, you know, it's tough because sometimes it's not clear in people's and countries' laws and everything else, but when I go and fly into these countries, what I see is that they have hope and that it's made a difference with the hope that they have in the future. And I think that's so applicable to the work we do here. If you ever wonder if it's making a difference, you know, look into these student groups who are able to do things, look to the people around you who you're working with, and you'll see that hope and you know that you're making a difference. So thank you all. It's been a pleasure.
Are there any questions for Vice President Cooper? Kind of crashed it out with the question. We'll now move into the report of the speaker. Hi, I'm Speaker Igna. So I'm going to make this short because, unlike Adam, I'm kind of a feely, emotional person. Eliza can probably attest to that just a little bit. I know the new senators are all sitting here seeing us make very vulgar jokes and joke around with each other and cover things that you have no idea what they are about, but just like see the bonds that we've made. I mean, these people become your family. You spend a lot of time together, spend a lot of time yelling at each other, but it's totally worth it. You achieve everything. I know, we sell USG as a leadership position where you get to interact with administrators, learn how the universities run, get to be behind funding and other student initiatives, but the relationships that we make really define what we've done. We keep these for life. There are alumni that we still keep up with, and I met 3 of my roommates through this organization. They made me join. So don't worry, you'll get to this kind of cuddly weirdness soon. And it's been a great run, everyone. Great 4 years for me. Great 3 years for other people. Great 2 years for others, but keep it up. You guys are awesome. And I'm just gonna end it because I will start sobbing or something. I'm not going to feel ready. We'll now move into the report of the Comptroller, Comptroller Rana.
Alright, unlike Colin.
Unlike Colin, who's a little bit emotional, I am as well. But unlike Adam, I'm going to be up here for a little. Unlike Adam, unlike Adam, who isn't emotional, but Colin, who is here for only a long time, a little bit. I'll be here for a little bit more. Makes no sense. I think I walked into this organization, I walked into the office my first day on campus. And in the side room, my brother and a couple of his friends, and back then the side room still had a TV up on the wall. And I went in there and I was like completely shitting my pants. Like why am I here? What am I doing? Kind of feelings. And my brother afterwards kind of told me, he's like, if you want to make a difference on this campus, and if you want to make what you do meaningful, you got to join this organization. And 4 years ago, for my career and for what I was able to make of myself, I owe it all to this organization. I don't know if all of you are aware, but I'm blessed to have a job next year with Citigroup in their capital markets and investment banking division, and the big title, sure, but that comes. I'm sorry. But what I'm getting at is that the only questions that these people in every single one of my interviews ask me about is comptroller and funding board chair and school of business senator and what this has been for me and what I was able to make of myself in this organization. And from coming into it in the same manner that he said a year ago, meeting my first friend of this organization in Kevin, and making relations with people like Colin, and having mentors like Shiv Gandhi and my brother Neil Rana, and aspiring to be what I could in the man and the president that Ed Corshane was, and then being everything and trying to support Rachel and Claire in every effort they made. I'm leading this organization very happy and probably hopeful even more that Dan, Irma, Rish, and his whole exec will do even better, because as a leader, you're only a successful leader if those that come after you do better than you. And that's something that I expect from all of you to do so. And last year I said a couple of words that probably wouldn't have been as meaningful to keep talking about if I did, but you come to this organization, you come to this university, and you take one thing with you. You take Gyan with you. You take knowledge with you. And you leave doing one thing, karma. You leave doing action. So everything you learn in this organization, everything you learn from people around you, talking about things that are good and bad, challenging you on your own ideologies and the understandings of yourself, what you take away from that, that's going to be your Gyan. But what you do with that is your karma. What you do with that is your action. Because each and every single one of you have the opportunity to do something, to make something of yourselves, or just guess at a budget for 4 years if you want to do so. But you have the ability to do so. And I'm speaking about the same thing later on in a couple of weeks, but it's bittersweet. And I don't know. I'm trying to hold the tears back, but for someone who was so young and so immature when he joined this organization 4 years ago, to feel that he's become something of himself, you're grateful for that. I'm grateful for that, and I'm grateful for what each of you have been to me, and listing off names would probably take the rest of the night, but saying the undergraduate student government has helped me enjoy every single year and be happy to spend more than half of my college career in room 218. It's not something that I regret, and it's something that I will hold forever dear to my heart, and I'll hold all of you dear to my heart for that too. So I don't know how to end these things, but you guys are gonna do very well. It's very much just for me to be able to say to myself next year when I come back here, or even to my coworkers next year, that hey, this is what my UConn is doing. This is what my USG is doing. And I want to keep coming back here, and I want to keep feeling that you guys are mine. And I'm going to keep coming back till I feel that. So I wish you guys the best of luck with what you do for the next year, 2 years, 3, 4 years. But know very well that I love you all.
Thank you, Comptroller Rana. Now moving to the report. Unfortunately, I had to give him a report of Chief Justice Whip.
Hello, my little possum. Who the hell said I look like a 40-year-old? Well, anyway, I didn't want to get emotional tonight, so I have something prepared, if you don't mind.
There's 9 note cards, guys.
My name is Tyler, and I am an alcoholic. I came to UConn's campus because I transferred a lot. I went to Southern Connecticut State University and then UConn Waterbury. So I came here last year, and I didn't really have any friends here that I actually liked. So I remember going around to the involvement fair in the fall, and Tim Lim was actually at the table for USG. Said, yes, I'm Tim Lim, chair of academic affairs. And I'm saying to myself, what the fuck is a So I joined anyway. I figured, what the hell, you know. And, I ran for a seat of CLAS Senate, got it. Come springtime, I ran for CLAS again, and I got it. And then I said, hell with it. You know what? I want to be Chief Justice. So then I was Chief Justice, and they said, Tyler, you only get 5 justices. And I said, screw that, I'll give myself 6. And then they said, Tyler, you can't have 6 justices. And I said, screw it, I'm making a constitutional change to give me 7. You know, sometimes you just gotta say no and go with your gut. That's what I learned a lot in USG. When I got into this organization, like I said, I didn't know many people on campus, and I didn't really know what USG was all about. I didn't do anything as a senator. I mean, you want to talk about a bad senator? You thought my legislation was long last week? That was the first one I ever did. I mean, obviously I did well for myself, so. But anyway, you know, I said it last Senate, and I probably should have saved it for this year, but I figured I would have forgotten then, so. Anyway, when I joined USG, I expected to make a couple friends. But to those new senators joining this year, or justices, or President, I don't know. You know, I didn't make a single friend in USG. No, I didn't make a single friend. And it's not just because I hate everybody, which I do. Oh, we're gonna end up talking like that.
Is that camera recording? Ran.
I guess Dan was right. I do get soft when I don't want to be. But I didn't make any friends in USG. I made a family.
It's like having a studio audience.
So anyway, no, I just want to say thank you to everybody in USG. I mean, everybody. I mean, I don't even know half of you, but thank you anyway. I mean, you're all laughing at my jokes. No, but from the bottom of my heart, USG has meant so much to me, and I see its leadership next year, and I'm just so happy that it's going to be going in such a great direction. And I'm happy to also announce that, this is an actual report now, but we had I got the justices together, and I'm happy to announce that Andrew Stern will be succeeding me.
No, we're still figuring out that.
Well, in the words of Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts,
Thank you, Chief Justice Riff. Entertaining as always. We'll now move into the report of academic affairs with Chairperson. I'll be clapping at the end.
Not leaving, I'll be back next year, so you don't have to.
Pending Senate.
Pending your approval.
Senate, you cannot approve it, by the way.
You beautiful people. So I guess this starts like the actual reports, I want to say. Yes? Should I report on what the committee's done? Okay. Well, wait. Except for Steve's. Anyway, committee's done a lot of good work. Recently we did a focus group. And again, we're doing care package packing tomorrow, distributing on Sunday. Feel free to swing by, it'll be a good time. Thank you. Shout out to all the hard work everyone's put in this year. I mean, everyone, like, I don't think I've seen, well, I've only been here 2 years, but definitely my freshman year under, I don't even know what I'm trying to say, but this year's been better than last year is all I'm trying to say. You guys are a great bunch, all right? I love you all. I'll be back next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson Gopal. We'll now move into the report of external affairs. President-elect Bird.
It's fine, no one likes me anyway. I first just want to thank everybody for a great year. I want to thank all the seniors who are leaving. It's very sad to see you go. I'm just waiting till I take over. I want to especially thank my committee. We did a lot of great work this year. This is a little bittersweet for me because this is my last Senate, so I won't have a vote next year. I don't know how I'm going to handle that, but we'll figure it out. So we did a lot of great things in committee this year. We built a playground, which was really fun. We promoted Election Day. We held a movie night. Only one, though. My bad. Testified to the Appropriations Committee about our budget. We held a textbook symposium. We funded a chemistry open source textbook, which will be here next year, which is going to save $400,000 next semester, which we just found out, which is exciting. We held a Capital Day. We're still working on the trustee bill. We're still working on scholarships for undocumented students. We're still working on securing UConn's budget. So that's just some of the things we worked on, and I have a couple thank yous. First, for those of you who weren't at Banquet, I want to re-recognize Cassandra, who was our committee member of the year. Last year, I went to last year with some health issues, and she was there to make sure that the committee kept running. I didn't have to cancel every meeting because she was there for me, even when I was pulled out of the office in an ambulance stretcher. She took over and just kind of did her thing and made everyone happy, and I walked in and she had a card ready for me. It was just like, yeah, that's Cassandra. So next I'd like to thank Haley. So she was the great vice chair, and I'm proud to announce that she's hopefully, pending Senate confirmation, going to be my successor. I'm very excited about that. And I'm very excited to work with my committee next year, especially Rashida. Where'd she go? Oh, cool. So thanks, Rashida. I'm excited to work with you on money. And then, of course, Irma, one of the best experiences of my year this year has been really forming my friendship and getting to know and getting to love Irma. She's a fantastic person. I'm so excited to be working over the next year with her as a USG colleague, but especially as a friend. So thank you, everybody, and I'll see you next year.
Thank you, President-elect Byrd. Next, we have the report of Funding Byrd. Funding Byrd. Funding Board Chairperson Wasella.
All right, so this is the last time I'm doing this. I am also leaving next year. I was planning on staying, and then Dan won the election. So, just kidding. You guys are.
UCTV offered me $32.
So I'll be quick, but I just want to say that for everyone who's new here, I know everyone said it, but like seriously, get close with the people in USG because it's amazing how close you'll get. I've spent a summer in DC with one of these guys up here. I'm going to be living with another guy here next year. I mean, I could look up and down the rows up here and see that I have a bunch of friends, a bunch of great people. You know, like find the one thing in USG that you really want to do and make an impact on. It doesn't. You don't have to like change the whole campus, but you just find one thing, like one issue, you can like actually make a change in one area. And I think that's pretty cool for you guys to know. So I'll probably be around sometimes. I'll be popping in the office, so you haven't seen the last of me. And I hope you guys have a great year next year.
Development, Vice President-elect Partha.
Alrighty, I don't really have a long spiel, but this past weekend we had 3 events, and it was kind of crazy, but luckily I had all of your support. I cannot believe how many volunteers we had, and I'm just really thankful because we reached over like 2,000 students this past weekend, which is amazing. Just with Founders Day alone, it was 500 students in less than 40 minutes. So like things like that are definitely what I'm going to remember during my time as student development chair. And also my last day working with ODE and getting the consent posters done and putting them out on social media. It was a really great year. I learned so much working with each and every one of you and also with all the administrators and anybody else that I worked with. But also I want to give a shout out to Alyssa because you weren't at banquet, but you were the committee member of the year for student development. And Alyssa is also going to be pending Senate approval student development chair for next year. But I just want to thank everybody for all of your help, and I'm so excited for next year working with every single one of you.
Thank you, Chair, Vice President-elect Partha. Now moving to the report of Student Services, Chairperson Conrad.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So I just want to thank everyone for a great year this year. I was, just as I was the freshman coming to USG, I was terrified to become a committee chair because I really didn't know if I could do it because it's a lot. But you guys are really the best organization ever. I couldn't imagine being supported and working with so many amazing people. And I know that without USG, I would not have made these relationships or meet any of these people. So I can't thank you enough. Our committee this year is fantastic. Most of them really aren't in this room. So I don't want to like go off on like a big tangent of why I love them. I made them sit through that already this week. But we did a lot. We made relationships this year with administrators and departments at UConn that we had never even reached out to before. Maintenance, student health services, mental health services. We've done so much with them. Next year, over 60% of the UConn campus will be air conditioned for students, and then not following that, it'll be 100%. You know, like we've done a whole lot of great work this year. We're gonna do so much more next year. Hopefully, you guys want to keep me around for another year so we can keep up the good work. I don't want to go off on a huge tangent, but like just like everyone else said, like you will make the best friendships here. Like the first day I was at of the semester, my little sitting over there in my sorority came and said, "Hi, I want to join USG," and then 2 months later, she was my little, and now she's going to be on exec, hopefully. So, you know, like, this organization's, I said hopefully, like, this organization's amazing. It's nothing that any of us up here are talking about would be done without you. It really comes from what the Senate does and what the committees do. So just, I can't wait to work with you on that year. I really just kind of like on the tangent, like I said, but thank you all so much.
Thank you, Chairperson Conrad. By unanimous consent, I'd like to move back into the President's report because we forgot to nominate the justices, and if we don't do that, you can't start your next meeting. So we're going to do it. President Convoy, take it away.
Great, so I have a couple nominations to do. This won't make me as emotional. First up is I'd like to nominate the EOC check. Apparently that's my kind of check on the next year is I get to nominate the elections oversight chair. So the role of this person is to oversee a committee of committed members who are not going to be running for the future USG any position. And for this, they'll oversee policies and the execution of our fall and spring elections. And for this, I'd like to nominate Nomin.
The nominee, please stand. Does the nominee accept their nomination?
I accept.
Are there any questions for the nominee? Is there any debate? Seeing none, we move into a vote. Sorry, new senators, you can't vote yet. This is just for the current Senate. All those in favor of approving Nomin Mumpat as the EEOC chair, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? And approved.
Next up, I get to nominate the judiciary for next year. And I apologize because I'm going to have trouble because if there's one thing USG didn't teach me, it's how to read cursive. So bear with me for a moment. I have 5 nominees for this year. And this comes from the committee chaired by Senator Ali. And they interviewed a good range of candidates, and I'd like to congratulate everyone who's being nominated because this was one of the most competitive pools for judiciary we've had in a very long time. And please rise as I say your name, just so everyone knows who you are. First up, I'd like to nominate Mark Zembrowski. I'd like to nominate Andrew Stern.
Wait for everyone.
Good. I'd like to nominate Heidi Hernandez. Thank you. Gabe Mack. Ron Boyd Jeffers. Awesome. So that's those are my nominees.
Are all the nominees standing? Are there any questions for any of the nominees or all 5 of the nominees?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, yes. Thank you, Colin Speaker. I'm totally off my game. Do the nominees accept their nominations? They have to accept it first. Do you guys accept?
Yes.
Are there any questions?
Yes.
Comptroller Anna.
Can I just get your majors and your years, please?
We'll start from left to right. Sir.
I'm Gabe. I'm a sophomore, finance and psychology double major.
Awesome.
Okay, I'm Longboy. I'm a junior in pre-law at the Center of Studies minor.
Katie, political science, Latino Latin American studies, and a minor in American studies. I'm a junior.
I'm Mark. I'm a major.
What year are you?
Oh, freshman, sorry.
Thank you.
Hi, Partha. My name is Andrew. I'm a sophomore, political science journalist.
Are there any other questions for these nominees? Yes, Chairperson Porcello.
Someone just explain, is Stern the Chief Justice, or no? Is this new? Someone just clarify?
No, it's, yeah,
Yeah, so last year we had 2 minutes to decide. 3 people wanted to run, there were 4 of us, so I was the Chief Justice. So it was, a couple people mentioned that it was grossly unfair. So I figured I would meet each other, get to know each other, and Stern was chosen unanimously by the judicial appointees.
Yeah, they decide their own chiefs.
Are there any other questions for any of the nominees? Or about the nominations? Seeing none, we'll move into debate. Would anyone like to debate? Seeing none, we'll move into a vote. All those in favor of approving these 5 who are standing before you to the Judicial Committee, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? And approved. Congratulations.
So very quick, I'm going to say one thing, because Adam took up all my emotion earlier, and then I get to finish our report before we swear them in. That's cool with you? Cool. Okay, cool. About a year ago, over a year ago, I was talking to Sydney at the gym, and she was this really bright, excited, energetic person, and she was like, oh, I love getting involved, I want to do PR, I want to get involved. And I said, okay, join USG, and we talked about it, and she ran, she got PR director, and then Allie quit. So then Sydney said, no, it's cool, I'll be your chief. And it's been a great year, and it's funny because now Sydney and I live together, which means we work at the gym, we work together as my chief, and we live together. And I think Sydney's a perfect example of how if you find something you're passionate about and you love in USG, run with it. Because it's really worked well for her. But I just want to say that's an example of somehow USG offers a lot of doors, and sometimes you don't necessarily think, well, I like politics, I'm really into this one thing. Like USG is a huge organization, we have a lot to offer. So that was just one thing I wanted to say before I had to make me cry. So thank you.
Alright, we'll now move into the swearing in of the judiciary and the EOC, but separately, right?
Yeah, literally. Come on.
Bennett's got like 20 minutes left. It's like, what can I do?
No, this is awkward back up here. Okay, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly promise to uphold and defend the Constitution, bylaws, and rules of the undergraduate student government at the University of Connecticut in Stores. As an executive member, I promise to execute all duties and responsibilities vested in me, and shall faithfully champion the general interests and concerns of the student body.
We now continue to the swearing in of the judiciary. For the judiciary, we stand. Feel like put one hand up.
Raise your right hand, then just repeat after me. I, your name, do solemnly promise to uphold the Constitution, bylaws, and rules of the undergraduate student government at the University of Connecticut in Stores. As justice, I promise to execute all duties and responsibilities vested in me, and shall wisely and cautiously adjudicate any and all matters that challenge the ethical and lawful foundation on which our government is based. Congratulations.
Justice Swift, and I just realized after this meeting is not stirring to be in Alright, so, yeah, I mean, I'm just going to go over a little bit what y'all be doing next. Chief Justice Stern will preside over the next meeting because he is, once this meeting ends, he is the highest ranking member of this organization. And so he swears in the president and vice president. Then the president will take over for the speakership, and then once the speakership happens, the speaker will preside through the remainder of the meeting. One thing that I want to clarify, because we always have a mix-up about this, about the speaker election. If you are a senior right now, and you are an academic senator, so any of the schools, you are now done, after this meeting, you are done with your tenure, you can leave. If you are a senior and you are a residential senator, you hold your seat until you graduate because the election for your seats don't happen until the fall. So you can vote for the speakership. So if you're a senior and a residential senator, you can vote for speaker. Just want to clarify that because there's mix-up every single year.
Does that apply to anyone?
Yeah, I think it's all the time. But it does matter because sometimes people leave and then people get confused. But yeah, if you're an academic senator, after this, you're done. Peace. Anyone have any questions?
Anybody need the new agenda?
And he'll hand it out when the new meeting starts. Anyone like to be recognized for discussion? Seeing none, we'll move into announcements. Would anyone like to be recognized for announcements? And
oh wait, can I do a thank you? What? Can I do a thank you?
Yeah, you can do a thank you. You can do it from there. Just speak very loudly.
Okay. I want to thank student development for helping with the drag show. They helped a lot, and Irma probably kept my head straight for most of it. So thank you, Irma, especially because I almost cried and broke down twice that night. It was not good. And then I wanted to thank pretty much everybody here for developing and stuff like that, and I hope that it works.
Anyone who will not be running for any positions for ever again, please come see me or look out for my email so we can join my awesome committee.
We can clap for that. Are you allowed to?
Yes. As an ex officio, you can debate, but you can't.
No, but he's the last president's ex officio. All the ex officios need to be sworn in. So you need to. You can raise your hand and ask him to yield to you, but you don't have speaking rights. Sorry, ex officios, your terms run out, and then President Byrd. Yeah, everything that Rachel appointed at this point, besides the justices who just did it, and the EOC chair, all of your terms have run up. By the end of this meeting, the chairperson, President-elect Byrd, when he becomes president, will have new ex officios, new ad hocs, new everything. But yes, thank you, Matthew. That's a very great point. But you can raise your hand and ask them to yield to you. I'm sure someone will. And would anyone else like to be recognized for announcements?
Colin?
Yes, Chief.
Just for the seniors, the stoles, please don't iron them. Steam them, or they'll be ruined. Thank you.
All right, would anyone else like to be recognized for announcements? All right, for the last time, we adjourn at 8:56.
Ali, Allen, Appia, Burr, Carr, Caruso, Castellano, Lena, Jacro, Curtis, Zarir, Gibbs, Gopal, Jane, Karis, sorry, I couldn't hold you this, Kakadana, Kakoda, sorry, how do you pronounce that? Kondo, thank you. Kowalski, Kundu, Laporte, Langer, Lanza, Lavoy, Lemoyne,
President voting. Bye.
Michael, Murray, Olson, Surowitz, Villar, Wayne.
I'm here. It starts with a V.
What's your name?
My last name is Colin, so it's with a V, but I'm here.
This is the last.
Are you able to say, can I ask public comments to the agenda? Yes, all right, so ordered. Is there anyone who would like to recognize for public comment? Chief Perry.
This is cool after not being able to speak for a year. Since I won't be able to debate this during, when you actually discuss who's going to be Speaker of the Senate, I would highly encourage everyone to vote for George Wang. George has been the kindest, most hardworking, one of the most hardworking people in this entire organization for several years now. Specifically, I had to go home for health reasons and I didn't have a ride. I said kind of jokingly something in the office if anyone was like going that direction in Connecticut. George, without hesitation and without expectation of any kind of like, I'll pay for gas, drove me home. He inconvenienced his Friday evening to drive me home. Okay, and that simple act of kindness really speaks volumes about George's character and what he brings consistently to this organization without seeking any kind of acknowledgement, and I think that's to absolutely be commended. George sits on probably every committee on this university. It's kind of ridiculous how he has, he's able to maximize the time he has. So vote for George for speaker. You couldn't really ask for a better person.
Thank you, Mr. Perry. Anybody else like to be recognized for public comment? Seeing none, we move on to the next. Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Alvarez.
I see him back there.
Hi. I know I can't debate, and I know I've been out of this organization sometimes. Yeah, not really. And I know many of you who are new senators don't know me. Welcome. This is really genuinely worth it. But I wanted to say something about the speakership election because I held the office. And I know both of the people very much, Hadia and George, that are likely to be running. Others may. And both are really great people, terrific people, passionate people. But there's few things that could get me from going to Nathan Hale immediately right now. But George Wang is one of those people. Because George Wang has done for myself, for probably every person in this organization, more than any of us could ever ask, more than any of us could ever think to ask. He was, before Colin and I were both individually speaker, we actually ran against each other. And people had to decide between the Senator of the Year and the Deputy Speaker. And this year they have a candidate that was both. Both the strongest senator in terms of fighting for students, fighting for the people around him, and fighting for his ideals and his moral and his conscience, but also a deputy speaker that knew the administrative functions, that knew how to handle all of the legislation that pours through his office. He has every quality to make him a better speaker than I have ever known or certainly could ever be. A speaker should take care of their Senate, and they should take care of their new members and make sure that you all understand what this organization is about and that you have a rightful stake in it. And George Wang is the man to do that. He's not a flashy candidate. He is a very reserved man, typically. But he can fight harder than any one of us can or will. He will stand up for the Senate and exec. He will stand up for the Senate and the student body to the administration. He is, without question, one of the most dignified and men with the greatest integrity that I know in this organization. I don't know anybody that could say a bad thing about George in this organization. So even though you don't know him, even though you don't know the candidates, you've got two great people. But George Wang is the man that you should be voting for. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mr. Alvarez. Anybody else like to be recognized for public comment? Former Speaker A.
I'll speak from here. With Kevin, he had a very strong personality, very committed into dealing with administrators, being the true spokesperson for the Senate, the true voice in university matters when it comes to the Senate. And then people kind of didn't like that, unfortunately. And they elected someone more reserved, more quiet, just wanted everyone to get along, like me. And, people didn't like that either. And with George, you kind of get the best of both worlds, putting Hannah Montana. And, George has saved my butt multiple times this year. I had work meetings on Wednesday night, and, for this and that, he covered for me. I've entrusted him, I've been here for 4 years, I've entrusted him with more work than any deputy speaker has ever been entrusted with. That is because I trust in his ability to do it, to get it done. That's about it. You guys should debate it yourselves, though. Don't let a bunch of alumni sway your decision, because we're old, so.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ring. Anybody else want to recognize public comment? You want to come here?
Yeah, so I've lost my speaking rights. One of the only rights I had. In all true honesty, I just want to say that Hadia and Fatima are fighters, and as an ex officio senator this year, These are the two people that have made me feel so welcome in USG. Fahima has participated, has joined my committee, she's done a lot of work, and she's someone that's willing to accommodate everyone. So I really encourage you guys to really give these two a chance. They're great people. Hadia, of course, is very active in USG. Every week she has a piece of legislation, statement of position. She's just as she has a strong reputation, I think, in USG. And I really endorse these two people. They're really great people. I hope you vote for them.
Thank you very much. Anybody else will be recognized for public comment? Seeing none, we'll move into the next order of business, which is inaugurations. And we will start with the president. The oath of office. We will start with the president-elect. Please raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Daniel Bird,
Do solemnly promise to uphold and defend the Constitution, bylaws, and rules of the undergraduate student government at the University of Connecticut in Stores. Do solemnly promise.
do solemnly promise
To uphold and defend the Constitution,
to uphold and defend the Constitution,
bylaws, and rules of the undergraduate student government
bylaws, and rules of the undergraduate student government
at the University of Connecticut in Stores.
at the University of Connecticut in Stores.
As president,
As president,
I promise to execute all duties
I promise to execute all duties
and responsibilities vested in me,
and responsibilities vested in me,
and shall faithfully champion the general interests
and shall faithfully champion the general interest
and concerns of the student body
and concerns of the student body
by whom I have been granted this authority.
by whom I have been granted this authority.
Congratulations. We will now take the oath for the Vice President-elect. I state your name.
I, Arthur Verde,
Do solemnly promise
do solemnly promise
to uphold the Constitution,
to uphold the Constitution,
bylaws, and rules of the undergraduate student government
bylaws, and rules of the undergraduate student government
at the University of Connecticut in Stores.
at the University of Connecticut in Stores.
As Vice President,
As Vice President,
I promise to execute all duties and responsibilities vested in me,
I promise to execute all duties invested in me,
and shall work diligently
and shall work diligently
to ensure the successful and efficient operation
to ensure the successful and efficient operations
of the administration to which I have been elected.
of the administration as to which I've been elected.
Congratulations.
To uphold the bylaws, constitution, and rules of the undergraduate student government
At the University of Connecticut in Stores.
at the University of Connecticut in Stores.
As Comptroller,
As comptroller,
I promise to execute all duties
I promise to execute all duties
and responsibilities vested in me,
and responsibilities vested in me,
and shall work diligently
and shall work diligently
to make ethically sound financial decisions
to make ethically sound financial decisions
to the very best of my
to the
abilities.
very best of my ability.
Congratulations. All right, all new senators, please rise. Please raise your right hand. I state your name. Do solemnly promise to uphold the Constitution, bylaws, and rules of the undergraduate student government at the University of Connecticut in Stores. I promise that I shall consistently and faithfully earn the vote of the constituents constituents, whom I have been elected to serve. Finally, I shall maintain a vigilant eye on the welfare.
Finally, I shall maintain a vigilant eye on the welfare
of the entire student government.
of the entire student government,
That we may all diligently work together to successfully advocate for, represent, and serve the entire student body. Congratulations. All right, we'll move into the next piece of business, which is the election of Senate leadership. I will open the floor for nominations for Speaker of the Student Body Senate. Does anybody have any nominations? Senator Kundu. Can I open? Yes. He can say. Anyone who's nominating someone may say something about the person they're nominating, if they wish.
Hey everyone, welcome to Senate. So my name is Shobha Kundu. I am the engineering senator here, and it is my great pleasure and honor to nominate George Wayne for the Speaker of the Senate. George is an experienced senator who has represented consistently the student body to the administration in many functions, including as a member of Protect Our PAC Committee, the University Senate, and as chair of Spring Weekend. He has experience in Senate leadership, having served as the Deputy Speaker, as you all have seen and heard, for the past year. And he also has a great understanding of USG as a whole, having sat on every single Senate committee so far. Beyond that, he is the most hardworking person that I know, and I can probably go on speaking about George for more than an hour, but I'm very confident that he is the best person to elect as Speaker of the Senate, all the other speakers so far have testified. So I encourage you all, so I nominate George Wayne as the Speaker of the Senate.
Does the nominee accept his nomination?
I do.
Are there any other nominations for Student Body Senate Speaker? Yes. Senator Career.
Hello everyone, my name is Fahima Durir, and I would like to nominate Hadi Ali for Speaker of the Senate.
Does the nominee accept your nomination? Are there any other nominations for Student Body Speaker, Student Body Senate Speaker? Seeing none, we'll move into questions. Does anybody have any questions for the nominees? Any questions for the nominees? Seeing none, we'll move into debate. Would anybody like to debate the nomination of these two senators? Yes, Senator Lemoyne.
Can I go over? Can I stay over here?
Yeah, just please stand.
All right, so I'm tired.
So with this, looking into who should be Speaker of the House, I'm going to say both these candidates are pretty much almost at equal points. The way they differ could make or break who you vote for. I'm not going to share who I'm casting my vote for because I don't want to influence any of you, especially new senators, because this will be your speaker and this won't be my speaker. But the way I want you all to look at it is George is one of the most dedicated people out there. If you have any help, he will come and help you. He'll make you feel as welcome as possible. And with Nadia, her ability to get anybody around her passionate about any subject, even if you oppose what she believes in, is probably one of the most amazing. But no, it's one of the most amazing qualities in a person. Like to allow a space for debate and to allow for a space to educate others about things that we may not necessarily know about. And I really learned a lot just being ex officio when you were ex officio. Those are all really important aspects of a speaker. but when you have to narrow it down to, because it's probably harder than last year's speaker choice, no offense to last year's speaker candidates, Tim and Colin, because that was, I don't really know. But with this, we have to decide who's going to be, not necessarily who's going to be more neutral, because both of them can be very neutral players when they want to be neutral players. But it's going to be more of whose voice do you want to hear in Senate being that activist, and whose voice do you want to hear running the debates. That's all I'm going to leave you all with.
Is there any other debate on these nominations? Yes, Senator Surwitz.
Hi everyone, so I'm Senator Surwitz. It's nice to meet all the new senators, and thanks for joining the organization. I think that we have two really good candidates for speaker, and I know them both. I work with them both. When I came here, I'm a little older. I think probably the oldest representatives in the room, 27. And when I met Senator Wang, I thought he was much older than he was. And like to this day, I still ask him, like, are you graduating this semester? Even though I know that he's not. And he's honestly, he's been someone who's been a mentor to me. Hadia has shown that she's really passionate, and she's very good at making things happen and being that activist that is needed. And I think that the best thing would, in my opinion, would be if Senator Wang was speaker, because I think he's ability to be very, very neutral and very procedural and very on top of things. And I also think it would be a loss to the organization if Hadia had to relegate herself to being so neutral all the time and not being able to take an activist stance. I mean, I read some of the columns that she's written in the Daily Canvas, and they're phenomenal. But I would hate to see her have to scale that back at all in order to fulfill the duties of speaker. So that's what I have to say. So thanks.
Is there any other debate regarding these nominations? Yes, Senator Caruso. I'll accept it.
Cool. All right. As a member of the student body, I feel most confident and most comfortable with the Senate leadership being in the hands of George Wang.
Is there any other debate regarding these nominations? All right, seeing none, we'll move into a vote. The way we're going to do this is a roll call oral vote. You must speak your vote, okay? So if I forget anyone's name at the end, please just shout out before I start counting up the votes, okay? All right, and if I butcher your name, I'm so sorry. I'm not good with names, and I don't know a lot of you, but I'll get to know you. All right, Senator Ali, if you could rise and say your vote, that would be great, if you have the ability to do so. Senator Allen?
He's not here.
I'm going to butcher his names. Senator Apia? Apia, sorry. Senator Burr?
I vote for Wang.
Senator Carr?
Ali.
Senator Caruso? Senator Castellano? Senator Chacron?
I vote for Wang.
Senator Curtis?
I vote for Wang.
Senator Darir?
I vote for Ali.
Senator Gibbs?
I vote for Wang.
Senator Goebel?
I vote for Wang.
Senator Jane?
Not here.
Senator Cars?
I vote for Wang.
Senator Kakanda.
I vote for Senator Wang.
Senator Kowalski. No, I'm not good with names.
I vote for Ali.
Senator Kundu.
I vote for Wang.
Senator Laporte.
I vote for Wang.
Senator Langer.
I vote for Wang.
Senator Lanza.
Vote for Wang.
Senator Lavoy.
I vote for Wang.
Senator Lemoyne.
Pass.
Is it pass or abstention?
No, pass. So, because we can't stay in a roll call vote, but we can pass saying that, so you can come back to me and I'll say yes.
Senator Michael.
George Wang.
Senator Murray.
George Wang.
Senator Von Olson.
Wang.
Senator Surwitz.
Senator George P. Wang.
Senator Villar.
Ali.
Senator Wang.
Abstention.
Did I miss anybody? Yes.
Senator Ali.
Anybody else did I miss? All right, let me just count the votes. Oh yeah, Tyler.
Ali.
Thank you for reminding me. All right, just give me 1 second. All right, by a vote of 17 to 8, our new speaker is George Wang.
I just want to catch you before you
Thank you to everybody who spoke and everybody who voted. It's really an honor to be sitting in front of you right now. All right, moving on. We now move into the vote for parliamentarian. We open the floor for nominations for parliamentarian. Dustin Moore.
I'd like to take this opportunity to nominate Mahima Dereer for parliamentarian. I've spent time with her this year on the Academic Affairs Committee. She's really stepped up as a wonderful member of the committee. She brought 2 focus groups to the committee that have benefited the university on a wider scale than just our committee, which has been really amazing in the second semester. Also, she went above and beyond serving on multiple university senate committees, helping out the university as well as our committee, as well as USG as a whole. And this is why I really think she's a phenomenal choice for parliamentarian.
Senator Langer.
She has to accept that.
Oh. Senator Dereer, do you accept the nomination?
Yes.
Senator Langer.
Alrighty. Hello everyone, my name is Austin Langer. I'm the school business senator, so I look forward to meeting all of you senators out there. And I just want to take this time to nominate one of my best friends here, Stephanie Goebel, for parliamentarian. It's a great pleasure and honor for me to be nominating her right now. Stephanie has done amazing things within USG and outside of it. Just to name a few, she serves as JPC president, so go her. And she also already serves as parliamentarian for Gamma Phi Beta, her sorority of 184 girls, so she can keep 184 girls in check. I certainly have faith in her being able to keep the 40 senators in check as parliamentarian. And so far, I know Rish has shared it, as well as Comptroller Johnny, and Vice President Valverde, sorry. And Senator Gold will have shared the work that she's done on the active consent for student development. And I just can't think of a better candidate for the position.
Senator Goebel, do you accept the nomination?
I do.
Are there any other nominations for parliamentarian? The names that are entered into the record are Fahima Dereer and Stephanie Goebel. Are there any questions for either of these candidates? Senator Lamore.
So a lot of times when it comes to parliamentarians, like there's not much of a procedure, but I feel like especially since every other senate there's always debate on what's procedure was not. Do both of you feel, or at least one of you feel adequate enough to like know the rules so we can like have a caption that check people and be like, the rules this kind of motion. Y'all feel confident like knowing these like the back of your hand?
No, I definitely 100% feel confident. As also mentioned, I am parliamentarian in Phi Beta, so I have a pretty firm grasp with Robert's Rules of Order, and it's something that I think is extremely important to running the Senate in a really fashion.
I believe that I do know of the rules and procedures of the Senate. However, I would not say that I do know them as like the back of my hand. But however, I do think that over the summer it's definitely something that I will be into, and that should not hinder my performance as parliamentarian.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not asking now. I'm saying like, will you?
Oh, for
like,
sure,
for
definitely 100%.
Because these rules are way different than any organization I've been in, and I teach Public Pro. So.
Are there any questions for the nominees? Senator Murray?
Sure. All right. So, especially this previous year, when we had Cassandra as parliamentarian, we saw less of a focus on Robert's Rules, and she stepped into more of a role as what we call the morale officer, keeping up like the morale in the room, making sure that no one got too into the debates or upset about anything. Do you see both of these roles as important, and which one do you think you would fulfill more of as a candidate?
I think that both roles are very important. I think that morale should be something that everyone is trying to uplift, because at the end of the day, we are here to represent the student body, and it's very difficult to do if we are all at each other's throats. However, also at the same time, knowing Robert's rules is extremely important, and I will not say that one or the other is more relevant to USG. However, as parliamentarian, I hope to.
Hi, everybody. I think that Cassandra did an excellent job with this morale role. I think that it's something crucial to Senate. I think oftentimes we get a little too wrapped up in ourselves and our debates, and it gets a little feisty. But I think that it's something that I really look forward to hopefully fulfilling. I think that enabling Senate to become closer, I want to explore better Senate orientation, specifically geared towards senators. I want to make sure that we become closer as a Senate body, because it is its own standing committee, and I believe that that's something that's sometimes overlooked. In the meantime, as far as that more official role of rules and regulations, I think that equipping senators, first of all, with the right constitution as up to date as possible is key and crucial, something that I missed this year, which is unfortunate. And I think firm training of Robert's Rules of Order. I know that sometimes you get thrown in there as a new senator, you have no idea what's going on. You're like, oh, I don't know how to raise my hand or ask a question or when I'm supposed to ask a question. So I think that that's super important. And to the best of my ability, I'll try to fulfill those roles equally.
Senator Surowitz? Senator Lanza?
I don't want to stir anything up, especially with all the old Senate leadership still in the room, but if there's anything that you guys would call out, if there's anything that you guys could critique about the way Senate was run this year, call it constructive criticism,
really like to look into working with our speaker wing to help acclimate new senators to Senate, because I believe that it is a very scary place initially. I personally have spoken a handful of times throughout the year, and I think that in helping new senators to write new legislation, to run the sponsor, to learn how to understand and get themselves out there and represent that constituency would be one of my first and foremost goals as a parliamentarian.
Are there any further questions for the candidates?
So to reflect something that I said earlier and also something that Fahima just said, I think that Senate orientation is definitely important. Being familiar with Robert's rules is important. I've already talked to Vice President Valverde about orientation being geared towards, maybe a specific part being geared towards senators, and how to best equip them to be effective members of this organization is super important.
Are there any further questions for the candidates? All right, seeing none, we'll move into debate. Is there any debate regarding the nominees? Senator Caruso. The chair is in question on this, and the chair will put this to a point of order. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against say nay. The chair accepts the yield.
All right, so I won't go up to the microphone. Also, that was actually really cool, the way he did that and how smoothly he did that. Doesn't seem like it's difficult to do, but it's difficult to actually know what to do there, so I respect that. I wanted to say something one last time, because he seemed to kind of listen to me a little bit last time. I don't know either of these candidates too personally. I think I respect anybody who puts themselves out there for these types of positions. What I do know is the reputation of Steph Goebel from the people that I know in USG, and her reputation is stunning. It is that of working after hours to support committee chairs for committees she's not even on. It is applying for everything that she can do, and even when she doesn't get it, she keeps trying no matter what. She is exceptional. I think she will transform the position of parliamentarian that I know many of you don't even fully know what it is, but it is something that hasn't had a true identity yet in USG, and I think she's the one to give it that. So just consider that and the respect that she has. Thank you.
Senator Lemoyne.
So I'm going to start my support to Durer, and the reason why I'm doing that is because I've seen Durer's hard work, and I know that experience doesn't play a key, especially being parliamentarian, but like I said, this entire parliamentary structure is completely different from most parliamentary structures, so it'd be better to learn from a beginning stance than when we just try and modify everything. And when it comes to morality and shaping it, I do think that you've always been welcome in fighting, and I think that those are key crucial things to get people pumping and moving, and that is key morale stuff.
Senator Landry.
I would like to yield to Chairperson Conrad.
The chair accepts the yield.
So, hi friends, I don't want to ignore half of you. As someone who was a parliamentarian 2 years ago, the position really isn't defined, and it really kind of comes down to what the Senate's leadership needs and what gaps need to be filled. I honestly can say that I think Steph Goebel is going to do a great job because she's already aware of a lot of the, parliamentary procedures and being able to fill in that role if necessary. I really think that she has a plan already for what to do to define the role, and I really think she'd be a great addition to Senate leadership. I definitely think she's proved herself and ready to take on a leadership position.
Senator Ali.
We all are gonna miss my voice later. I don't really know Fahima that well. I see her sometimes in the office. She lives at my house sometimes. Kind of a weird situation, but I really want to speak to the unique role that being an ex officio senator gives you. And so last year I was the ACC's first ex officio senator, and this year Fahima served in that role for the entire year. And I think that what ex officio really does is it gives you a role where you are not given as much agency and sitting. You come in at a time where other people have already been going to orientation, they've already had a lot of their committees assigned, and you kind of have to come in and define your role as an ex officio to the best of your own ability. And what I've seen Fahima do is she came in and she thought that she wanted to work on academic affairs, she wanted to work on gender requirements. So this is not work that Senate sees on a day-to-day basis, but this is work that really affects the entire student body and really affects the culture of the student body. And so we're all here to be educated, and that was her goal, was to come in and make sure that we all have a cohesive education that has to do with cultural issues, that has to do with a lot of issues that are facing our country and our campus at this time. And so I think a lot of the time we can get caught up with what we may be able to see in Senate, but FEMA does a lot of behind the doors work that really attributes to what Senate really should stand for as far as a student voice, and also being an expedition in a unique role because she really had to come in and kind of seek out the information that wasn't readily given to her through orientation or through any, she had a mentor for I think some time, but she kind of had to come in and make her own role. And so I think that a lot of the attributes, you think about parliamentarian, former parliamentarian Eliza just talked about the role not being defined. I think that being an ex-officio student, being able to come in and have a clear role and be able to successfully execute several goals that had to do with that role, really has to do with her leadership and with her ability to be a part of Senate leadership effectively. And so I really urge you to vote for her.
Senator Kundu.
So, while I feel that both of the people running for parliamentarian are great candidates, and I've had the pleasure of working with both of them over the course of this past year, I would strongly recommend all of you to vote for Stephanie Goble for parliamentarian. I know Steph for actually only just a few months now, since we went on the Costco trip to Texas A&M, which was a student government conference, and where schools from all over the country came to talk about leadership and student government and all those things. And since then, I've discovered that Stephanie Goble is a very hardworking person. She's a very motivated person who wants to create change on this campus, who is very active in Senate, and I feel that she will be the right person to be put in Senate leadership, and she can take us into a new and better direction. So I encourage you all to vote for Stephanie Goble for parliamentarian.
Comptroller Johnny.
So I've had the pleasure of working with Stephanie over the past few weeks on something that is very close to me and very important to me. The consent posters, by the way, she doesn't have Facebook. And having the opportunity to work with someone on something I'm so passionate about was kind of nerve-wracking in a way, because I wanted to make sure that whoever else was working on this with me would be putting in 110%. And not so easily am I impressed or am I humbled to work with someone, but that was the experience I had just in a matter of 2 to 3 weeks with Stephanie. So I am endorsing Stephanie.
Senator Caruso.
All right, hi everyone. I just want to preface this with that I think both candidates are really great, but just thinking about some of the things that have been said, and I guess the goals more so for the parliamentarian next year, I think I urge you all to vote Fahima for parliamentarian for next year, because over the past year, I'd say that there's something that's just magnetic about Fahima, and we all mentioned, or I guess our two candidates mentioned that one thing that they kind of wanted was to be more involved with the new senators, to get them more acclimated to being in Senate. And I think that, like I said, both candidates are great, but there's just something about Fahima's personality that's personable, she's friendly, and I really think that that's something that we need for next year's parliamentarian.
Senator Langer.
So I'll just talk from over here. I'm back. Again, I'm supporting Senator Goble. I think one thing, if you're torn on the issue of who should be parliamentarian, that I really hope that you choose her for is her idea of the new orientation. Because when we went to COSGA, I was actually thinking about leaving the organization as a whole beforehand. I was thinking, wow, I really hope they don't pick me for this trip. I don't want them to invest thousands of dollars into me for me to ultimately leave the organization. But actually coming closer with her has encouraged me to stay with it and has showed me how much you can get out of it. And I know a lot of us in this room have all had experiences like that. I know I spoke to Vice President Valverde about how she struggled freshman year and wanted to leave the organization. I mean, look at where she is now. She's now the Vice President of the student body. So I just think it's a great idea that she wants to incorporate this, try to create this camaraderie in Senate, which I don't think exists right now, and implementing that in the orientation setting, I think is a noble goal. And I really do think that if you've never had that experience being new for senators, I think you might. And if you do, I think she's the right person for it. I mean, she's why I'm here today.
Senator Murray.
Hi everyone, my name is Ben. I would like to urge you all to cast your vote for Fahima Dareer in this election. When I think of the role of the parliamentarian, what I think of it as is someone who really makes the environment for discussion on and debate on all of our topics really even for everyone, so that no one has an unfair advantage, all opinions are heard, and everyone is valued equally. I was on the nominations committee for the judiciary with Fahima, and whenever we were discussing a candidate, that was the exact feeling that I got from her. I felt that she valued my opinion. Even if I disagreed with her, I felt like my opinion was still valued and welcomed. And I would also like to point out that she is the new multicultural and diversity senator, and I think that really speaks to the role that she fills in this organization, where whatever your opinion is, it's welcome here, and you're going to have the grounds to speak it, and I think that's something that she would really bring to the Senate floor next year.
Vice President Valverde.
Alright, so I'm not going to endorse either people because I just want to talk about both and how great both are. The first thing I'd like to bring up, though, is that orientation keeps getting brought up a lot. And although the parliamentarian will have a good say in that, that's something that Speaker Wang and I will be talking about a lot. So I just want to make sure that everybody here knows that orientation should be a factor in this, but also they're not going to be planning this on their own. So just to think about that and don't let that be like, oh, one didn't go to orientation, one did, all that good stuff. They're both on an equal playing field in that sense. Also, both have shown great work in this organization and also really great morale. So just want to let both of you know, let everybody know here that either choice will be great because I've literally only seen positive, amazing work come out of both of these ladies, and I'm really proud that there's two people that everyone obviously really cares about this position. So I'm just really happy that everyone's standing up and talking about this, and good luck to both of you.
Senator LaVoy.
All right, awesome. So I nominated Fahima Dareer, and I couldn't be more proud of her. Honestly, a lot of things have come up in discussion. Questions were talked about how this is a position where you don't exactly know your role. It's a role that you mold. And I've really seen that Fahima do that through her work on the University Senate seats. It's really a role, if anyone in here has ever served on a University Senate seat, you go into this meeting and you're with a bunch of administrators and you do not know what is going on. For the first half hour of my first meeting, I didn't understand a single word that was coming out of any of their mouths. But Fahima managed to actually lead two of those committees, lead them and bring them into our committee. Lead focus groups, which is sort of exactly what the parliamentarian role is to me. She was managed to come in, set up the technology, set up the equipment, set up the reporting services, sort of like a parliamentarian has done traditionally in the past year, come in and set things up for the Speaker, for the Senate Executive Board. Also, she came in and she helped facilitate proper discussion, helped promote healthy, progressive discussion, which is exactly what we're trying to accomplish here at Senate. I don't think there's a single reason in my mind I couldn't support Fahima Dareer. She's been hands down one of the best committee members this year on HAC Affairs, and that's over me. She won Committee Member of the Year, and she couldn't be more deserving of it, and I really think she's also deserving of parliamentarian. So I really hope she has y'all's votes.
Senator Langer.
Right. One final plea for this town. Sorry. I hate myself. Just real quick, I just think both candidates would be great, but again, I think Steph is a better choice because, Senator Goebel is a better choice because we saw with former parliamentarian Lisi, there were some issues with the Constitution, and out of the two candidates, only one of them, Stephanie Goebel, or Senator Goebel, was the one who addressed this administrative issue. I know you highlighted how important the morale is, but to me, I don't know, I just think it's very important that we're equipped with the proper bylaws and constitutions from the very beginning, and she's the only one to address that issue.
Senator Surwitz.
So I know everyone wants to get to a vote, so, but I think, unfortunately, well, so first of all, whoever gets selected, you have big shoes to fill, because I think Cassandra was a phenomenal parliamentarian, and she was the first person to welcome me into into USG on the training session when we went to the 4 hours obstacle course, and she welcomed me, and she was like very bubbly, and I was like, thought she was crazy, but she really did though. She made me feel welcome in USG. So whoever gets selected, you have really big shoes to fill. I have not had opportunity to work closely with Fahima, and hopefully I will coming up soon sometime. But I have worked with Stephanie and Senator Stephanie Goebel. I would just say I know that she's diligent, she's thorough, she's honest, courageous, passionate, she's even keel, and I think she's motivated. So I think that Stephanie would make a good parliamentarian.
Senator Laporte?
I think that we can't really go wrong with either one of these two candidates in the short time that I've known them, and we've heard a lot of really good things about both candidates. However, as much good as can be said, I think that we should go to a vote, so I move for the previous question. Move to call the previous question.
There is a call of the previous question. This motion is not debatable. Okay. So the calling the previous question means that we will end debate and move directly into a vote. It requires a second, but there's no debate for it. So is there a second?
Yes.
Langer. There's no debate. We'll move directly into a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Abstentions? Clearly passes. We will move.
Yeah.
Sorry, Lemoyne and Wang. 2 abstentions. We'll move directly into a vote. This vote will be conducted in the same way the vote for the speaker was, by roll call. Ali. Amma? Sorry. Burr? Casey Nagan?
Goebel.
Carr? Caruso? Castellano? Chacon? Curtis? Duryea?
Yes, abstain.
Gibbs?
Goebel.
Gold?
I abstain.
Jane? Garris?
Goebel.
Honda? Kowalski? Kundu? Laporte?
Goebel.
Langer?
Goebel.
Lanza?
Goebel.
Lavoy?
Duryea.
Lemoyne? Casey Nagan?
Career.
Michael?
Goebel.
Murray?
Duryea.
Olson? Von Olson?
Yeah, to the D. Goebel.
Zerwitz?
Senator Stephanie Goebel.
Villar?
Career.
Langer's abstention is checked. a vote of 13 to 10, the role of parliamentarian goes to Senator Goble. Thank you, everybody, for participating in that lively debate. We will now move into the confirmation hearings for presidential nominees. The President, please provide to us his nominees.
All right, hi everybody. So we went through a long process. We had a lot of applicants for exec this year. And Colin and I are very confident that we made the right choices in the people we chose. So I'll get right to it. For academic affairs, I am nominating Ben Gopal. For external affairs, I am nominating Haley Hinton. For funding board, I am nominating Lisette Johnson. For student development, I am nominating Alyssa Crooks. For student services, I'm nominating Eliza Conrad. And for executive director of programs, which is our standing committee, by the way, Hamza Mirza.
Do the nominees accept their nominations?
Yes.
Are there any questions for the nominees?
Let's look this one.
That's not a question.
Are there any further questions for the nominees? Seeing none, we will move into Senator.
My question is for nominee Johnson. What have you done to serve the county board chair? Because you've never served as on the committee, you've never been a part of USG before, so how do you think you're going to overcome this, or what past experiences do you have to make you a good candidate to chair the committee?
Very good question. I am completely new to this organization. I am very confident, though, that I bring a new perspective to the table. Funding board, I feel, is one that does require an outside perspective at times because we can get wrapped up with ourselves and our own budget and money. And I do feel that my experiences as CFO and past financial positions, not all have defined titles, bring me the financial intelligence I need to complete this position, but then also bringing the new perspective in USG and getting to hear everyone's new voices and new opinions. I'm very excited to combine all those with my new ideas and bring forth, hopefully, the best funding for we can.
May I ask a follow-up?
One follow-up.
How large of a budget have you been working with? What's the largest budget you've managed?
The largest I have managed was in high school, and we worked with about 55,000.
Senator Von Olson.
Hi. Can I just ask each of you to briefly say what your experience with USG has been? Are you freshmen, are you sophomore? How long have you been involved? And then also why you're the best candidate.
Sure. So my experience in USG, I was a CLA senator for one term my freshman year, and then I applied for academic affairs for this year, and I served as the chair this year. So I'm coming in with no transition period. I can just continue the initiatives that we've started this year, continue to foster the connections with administrators that we've kind of built up over the course of these 2 semesters, continue getting members on university senate committees, getting administrators to come in, be more fiscally responsible at some of our events. So all the great things that we've done this year that I kind of neglected to mention in my report, which I really should have, but I didn't think reports were that serious at last Senate. So we've done a lot of great things, commendable committee members. I want to keep all those initiatives going, and that's what I can bring to this position. Again.
My name's Haley. I'm a freshman. I ran for North Senator in the fall and actually did not get the position. And I immediately joined External Affairs, which I fell in love with. I ran as a vice chair, and I got vice chair of State Affairs, and I loved it so much. I learned a lot from it, and I was very, very excited to interview for this position. And I really felt passionately about a lot of the things that went on this year, and specifically, I just want to continue them for next year. So I'm very excited.
I'm Lisette. I'm a sophomore in my junior year. this position, I feel, continuing on what I just said, I feel that coming from a CFO of multiple organizations here at the university, I bring a new perspective that way, and I know what organizations want out of funding board, especially as funding is one of the most important aspects of being an organization on campus, because in order to do things, we need funds. But combining that with getting to know everyone's new perspectives and getting to see the inside, if you will, opinion of USG, and combine that so that we can have a more efficient, more happy, in general, working relationship with organizations and USG at the same time. So that, because for our organizations are what make our students, and our organizations need to be funded. And it's one of the most important things of a realistic aspect of organizations is that we need funds, and we need those funds to make these organizations for the students, because that is what we need the university for the students.
I'm Eliza Conrad. I'm currently a junior. It's my third year in USG that I'm finishing up, which is a little weird. I'm a junior. My freshman year I served as the Buckley Residence Hall Senator, and I also served on the External Affairs Committee. My sophomore year, I became Parliamentarian, and I was the Husky Village Senator. I actually was not selected for the Executive Committee after applying for my sophomore year. But I did work to rewrite the guard docs documents, and I was the chair of that ad hoc committee for my sophomore year. And then when I applied for the Student Services Chairperson last year, I was selected, so this would be my second term. It was a really tough year because there is a lot that is currently still being defined between student development and student services, because it's in the last 3 years they've been split up into two separate committees that were originally one committee that was actually student affairs. So it definitely was a little bit of a learning curve, but we were able to be really successful in our advocacy, and then we're starting to get into we had like one programming event where we're trying to use those to get more input from students on what we work on for next year. So luckily, just like Ben, it'd be continuing the progress that we've already made.
Right, so I'm Hamza, I'm a junior. This has been my first year in USG. I was a committee member with Student Services, the committee that learned a lot about USG and the work that USG does in the school. I think the interesting thing that, both that I can do for POC and the POC does for the university is that we both have so much potential in terms of growth. POC as a new committee in USG has so much room for expansion. Now as a standing committee, we can have senators, and my kind of goal for it is increasing resources for student organizations on campus with the SOC, and resources for the general student body with the New York Times Leadership Program and other programs I hope to bring on with programs. My personal experience that makes me qualified for this position, I was founder and president of a Tier 2 organization on campus, so I kind of understand that as Tier 2 executives, what they need, the requirements they need, the resources that they need in terms of meeting space, general administrative supplies, something that the SOC can offer them. That's something that I want to help bring to the countless student organizations that we have on campus. And just in general, it's the many leadership positions I've taken in the organizations that I am on campus. I think that I'm perfectly qualified for this position.
So I'm Melissa Brooks, and I'm a junior. And so for the past 2 years, I've been on the Student Development Committee, and not this past year, but the year before that, I was also the vice chair. And for both those years, I was the point person for the Founders Day event, which you heard Vice President Valverde talk about how we reached 500 students within 40 minutes. So my goals for this year, or for the next year, are to continue improving upon our previous events and to bring new events and speakers that represent what the student body cares about.
Sarah Lemoyne.
So, as my commendation says, I'm a terrible person when it comes to CFOs. So, the nomination for the chair of the funding board. What were you the CFO of?
I am currently and will be the CFO of Dressage Team, one of the club sports. And I am currently CFO of a new organization called STEM Talk Magazine. That is in my college career.
Are there any further questions for the nominees? Senator Report.
Question for the funding board nominee. You said earlier that maintaining a happy relationship between the USG and the clubs is important. How exactly, based on your experience as CFO of 2 clubs, would you bring that perspective to the funding board chair position so that you could maintain that happy relationship?
I think clubs most struggle with coming from a CFO position is the fact that it's kind of a nervous, anxious aspect in dealing with USG funding, and that is due to my experience that I've had here. It is not, by far not a bad one, I'm saying. It's just, it's a nervous, anxious one, and I feel that does come with changes to the funding system, which I'm sure we're all aware of, but it's just, it's worrying about you have your club members depending on you to do these activities that you know will enrich their lives and enrich their experiences, and that's why they join the club. And you know, realistically it can't come without the funding, so you rely heavily on USG funding for good reason. It's here for the students, for the clubs, and it's just that nervous kind of pressure riding on you. So I feel that coming from that aspect, I do want to work towards making that, hence the happier, I guess, is the best word I can find to describe it, so that this is not such an issue for CFOs and for clubs in general, because it is hard to explain to your club members when you can't get funding that USG, you know, for some reason won't fund us, or for some reason these funds are end up not being enough, and then we have to ask the members to pay more or to supplement more, and for some of them that's not possible. So I feel not necessarily increasing funding to make everyone happy in the way that, oh, we're just going to give out money freely, but it's making everyone understand that we are working our hardest to fund these, because we do understand, I understand how important it is to be funded as an organization, especially from the position of CFO and how that impacts your members of your team or of your organization.
Thank you.
Are there any further questions? Senator Von Olson.
This question is for nominees Hinton and Crooks. You both talked about wanting to continue what you were working on this year and the years before. What specifically are you looking at? Like, what are you really passionate about changing?
So some of the things that we worked on this year that I definitely want to continue, obviously in external affairs, one of the main things that we can never get away from is the budget. So we'll definitely be working with that a lot. I know I really want to take on the trustee bill again and try to get another student trustee. And there's a lot of things that we worked on that we can improve on. Our town relationship, obviously, we always improve upon that. As said a little earlier in our report, we helped do a playscape this year in our movie night. So continuing on all of those things, I want to definitely take what we've done and just go on with it and see what the committee would want to do, and definitely brainstorm and continue with the groundwork that we already have.
And so I want to continue improving upon our relationships that we have existing already, such as the cultural centers, and seeing how we can work with each other and create better relationships and how we can help each other out. And then just continue building upon the events that we have to help them better serve what their purpose is. And then also bring in new ideas that the committee has for different topics that people think need to be spread awareness for.
Are there any further questions for the nominees? Seeing none, we will move into debate. Is there any debate regarding the nominees? Second call for debate. Seeing none, we will move into a vote. In the interest of time, we will vote on all of these candidates at once, unless you would like to split the question. And this vote will be this will be a roll call vote. All those in favor of the nomination of nominee Gopal, nominee Hinton, nominee Johnson, nominee Crooks, nominee Conrad, and nominee Mirza, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Abstentions? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 abstentions. The ayes have it and the motion carries. Chair recognizes the Chief Justice for the swearing in of the now confirmed nominees.
Please raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Lisette Johnson,
Do solemnly promise
do solemnly promise
to uphold and defend the Constitution,
to uphold and defend the Constitution,
bylaws and rules of the undergraduate student government
bylaws and rules of the undergraduate student government
at the University of Connecticut and Stores.
at the University of Connecticut and Stores.
As an executive member,
As an executive member,
I promise to execute all duties
I promise to execute all duties
and responsibilities vested in me,
and responsibilities vested in me,
and shall faithfully champion the general
and shall faithfully champion the general
interests and concerns of the student body.
interests and concerns of the student body.
Congratulations.
We will now move into the approval of the minutes. Seeing no minutes, we will now move into reports. We move into the report of the executive provided by President Byrd. One second.
Sure.
Sorry. Just in the interest of what's going to come up, the chair, speaker will step down from the chair and hand it over to the Chief Justice.
Alrighty, so I have one piece of business. Over the Constitution and bylaws dictate that we must have a summer recess committee to vote on anything needed for the function of the organization throughout the summer, including payroll, funding board stuff, and anything that's coming up like in the first couple weeks of the semester. That way it's all approved ahead of time, so we don't have to worry about like cramming and trying to get money approved the first week or two of the semester. So, the Constitution says we must have 3 members. I'm going to nominate 4, including myself. So I'd like to nominate myself, Irma Valverde, Sidney Dinklu, and George Wang to the Summer Recess Committee.
Will the nominees please rise? Do the nominees accept this nomination? Yeah. Are there any questions for the nominees? Seeing none, any debate? All right, we'll now go in for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nay? All those opposed? Sorry. All right, any abstentions?
Raise your hand if you abstain.
All right, clearly passes. That is all. Thank you.
Dan.
Oh yeah, also, sorry, I have 3 people I'm so sorry. There's 3 people I want to acknowledge that don't get sworn in because they're not constitutional offices, but they'll be working very closely with the executive and they'll be sitting on the executive committee, which is very exciting. So first of all, we have the Chief Chief of Staffs, multiple Chiefs of Staff, and that's going to be Sidney Dinklu and Erica Lechicon. And the other position we have in the cabinet is the Public Relations Director, who's going to be Sia Sidani. So these people are highly qualified, and I know they're going to do a great job, and I'm looking very much to working with them next year. So awesome.
Are there those from the committees or no? We will move into the report of the Senate. I just want to say thank you everybody for all of your active input today. It's really amazing to see such a well-informed and active Senate. And I look forward to working with all of you for the rest of the year. All right, we move into the report of the judiciary.
I'm just looking forward to working with all of you. Just because you're on the judiciary doesn't mean you can't help out the Constitution or bylaws or anything that you have any conflicts with or questions about, which pertains to any of those things. We're happy to talk with you. All right, I'll stop talking, Dustin, but
Keep
I
talking.
look forward to working with all of you.
Keep talking.
Yeah.
Are there any questions for the Chief Justice? recess? Seeing none, we move into old business. Seeing no old business, we move into new business. There is one item for new business. It is an act concerning the fall 2016 budget.
I can do it.
The speaker will entertain a motion to recess for a period of 5 minutes. Is there a motion? Okay, so I will explain the background. The union, we originally thought was going to provide us with a presentation computer. That did not happen. For the first half of this day, we used a computer provided to us by Parliamentarian Sandra Pobisi, who has now left and no longer has her computer here with us. So now we do not have a computer to present this legislation to you all with. So Comptroller Johnny has actually gone down to print out 40 copies of the legislation, so that's where she is right now. So
Why don't you just ask for a computer? Could I just like ask for a computer?
Wait, it has to have.
Yeah, so it has to have a VGA. Does anybody have a computer with a VGA port?
I think I've asked everybody, so I didn't ask you.
It's just a regular.
Non-Mac computer.
Yeah,
What about a dongle?
A dongle for a VGA port?
So, the chair will... Oh, she's walking in? Okay. So, welcome to all the new senators. What have you walked into? Good question. Yes, Senator. So if we table this, so there has been a question put to the chair. The question put to the chair is what would happen if this was not voted on today? And the answer to that is that the summer committee would have no budget to work with. And so funds would not be able to be approved for orientation. Yes, office staff is paid for that.
All right.
Here's Comptroller Johnny. She'll be handing out copies of her proposed budget to her.
Guys, it's really important that you do not leave at this time. We need everybody to vote, or else we won't have something called quorum, which means we can't vote, and that would really suck. So just stay here, okay? Woo.
We're almost done, guys.
Yeah.
All right. Will the Comptroller please present the legislation?
The legislation is enough. Do you guys want me to read it?
It's like, this is the budget.
Yeah, basically the legislation says the budget is as presented. So I'm just going to clarify this right off the bat. The $2,000 for all the committees are just in case committees randomly get an unexpected project over the summer that they need to take on, or they want to take on something before the first Senate of next year when you'll vote on the budget for fall 2016. Again, with updated numbers from all the committees. The reason that we're passing this right now, the most important reasons, are funding board, the summer committee, and USG channel. So the $2,000 is based on historical data of just in case a committee wants to put on an impromptu event. $2,000 is just a ballpark of how much they would need to run a successful event. The $850,000, so we did an informational budget, and I did pull numbers from there, but I haven't worked with it enough. So we did use historical data for funding board as well. The reserves are the reserves. Committee outreach and call association are also based on historical data. Summer committee is something that was given to me by President Byrd. They include giveaways, president office renovation, student services, external affairs, USG binders, USG polls, orientations, business cards, executive committee training, and miscellaneous.
So that's where that standing committee number comes from, if you have questions on that. Ask me. And then USG General has wages in there. It has things that we use for the office in there. I think the 70,000 encompasses most important things. Do I say something?
Are there any questions for Comptroller Johnny? Or actually, is there a motion for this? Motion to Lavoie, second. Second to Caruso. Are there any questions? Second call for questions. Seeing no questions, we will move into debate. Is there any debate regarding this legislation? Second call for debate. Seeing no debate, we will move into vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Abstentions? The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Mr. Speaker, I motion to adjourn.
There is a motion.
Have the floor for a second?
Sorry. The motion to adjourn, if I remember correctly, is lower on the list of priorities than is what motion is your motion?
No, on the floor.
He just wants to say something.
You want to say something? So, you know what? I recant the motion, so go for it.
Awesome. Hi y'all, for those that don't know me, I'm Dustin Lavoie. Sadly, you guys will not get the chance to know me. I will not be able to serve on Senate next year. That really saddens me. Senate is a really great place. It allows you to world of opportunities, it really allows you to accomplish a lot, and I hope you all do that. But sadly, I'm going to have to resign. Thank you all.
How'd you resign? Senator Lavoie, Senate leadership would respectfully request for our records if you could submit that via email to us. Thank you very much. Is there anything else? The speaker entertains a motion to adjourn. Motion goes to Lemoyne, second to the floor. Not debatable. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. The ayes have it.